Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Pole Father, and it only takes one. We are back. Hope everyone is doing great today. So, got a really exciting video for you guys. This video, we're going to go over our CGC submission of our Celebrations Ultra Premium box we cracked open on July 21st, 2025. So, today is September 21st, 2025. So, it's been exactly 2 months, and the grades are back, and I'm excited to share them with you guys. And we definitely made out on the box. Now, this was something I've been wanting to do for quite a little bit of time, as you can tell, because I knew the value of the Pokemon Celebrations Ultra Premium box would eventually spike up. And sure enough, right at that time, right at that window, they were starting to slowly creep up because they're hanging around that 350, 400 mark for quite some time. They were starting to creep up, and there was whispers going around saying, hey, these are going to go up soon. And I said to myself, man, I really want to swing at that gold card one more time. But so I have a lot of experience opening up celebrations, and I knew for a fact that those gold cards do not grade well. Usually there's something wrong with the manufacturer of it. They're scuffed. It's very, very difficult to pull a clean copy, let alone any of them. It's not easy at all. So that's why I decided to bring in three of my other cousins to go in 4 ways of the Celebrations Ultra Premium box. I told them the risk. I said, hey, it's 125 each if we can do this. That's 500 total that we're looking to spend. Let's see what we can do here. So we were at a convention, and I convinced them. It took me a little time to talk to them, but they all agreed that if we could do it for $500, they would all jump in. So a couple of my cousins were just like, "There's no way you're gonna find one. These boxes now are going for 650 convention prices. They're all jacked up." Now keep this in mind. This was in July, and sure enough, I saw a guy with 4 Celebrations Ultra Premium boxes, and I said, "Hey," I said, "I want to buy one of these because I want to open it." And I said, "I have cash. Can you do better than 675?" Everyone at convention prices are always higher, right? And he looks at me and goes, I can't do 675. And he goes, but I do have a box that is damaged if you're considering. I said, okay. Usually I'm against damaged product. But I said, let's take a look at it. So we looked at it, and there was just like a strike across the front, enough for a seal collector not to want to buy this and display it. It was pretty much, it almost seemed like whoever had opened this case, like just maybe like ran the blade too deep and it scuffed the front of the box. Other than that, the plastic was all untouched. It was all like original wrapping and everything. I said, okay. I said, you know what? This is the box. What can you do for it if we pay cash? The seller said, I'll do 500 if you guys can do it. My two cousins' eyes shot up. I looked at them. I said, you guys ready? And they said, all right, let's do it. We gave the money forward, and later that night, we cracked that box. So I'm going to post that live in the description. If you guys want to roll through it, go ahead. It was a fun time, us guys getting together and just cracking up some Pokemon cards, just being guys, right? So the results are back of these grades, and I'm happy to show you guys what we got, how we did. So first thing is first. Now, some of the cards that we did not end up submitting were just not gradable. Not saying they weren't gradable, but we just thought they would all land around that CGC 9 mark, 9.5 mark. So we decided just to sell those raw as it was, and we graded 8 cards. So check them out here. Now, the 2 cards we unfortunately did not grade were the two not yellow, the two gold promos in there, not the metal ones, the Pikachu V and the Pokeball. Those were a little edge wear on them, so we decided just to keep those sealed because we are hoping the value would go up on those. Sure enough, 2 months later, the value has jumped on a lot of Celebration cards, and I believe that Celebrations is still going to push. So let's roll into these results right here. So first things first right here. Now, at the time we pulled the Groudon, I remember some of my relatives were kind of saying, oh, like, gosh, it's like $50, $40 card. We'd have to hit the pristine in order to hit this. I said, this card's pretty clean. I really feel confident it's going to pristine. And sure enough, at the time, we did pristine the grade, as you can see. But at the time, the card was going for $50, $45. And now this thing's going for $80. So it jumped in 2 months. That's an incredible jump right there. I think there's a lot of room on this card to go up even more. Just like another example right here, the second card we just set graded was the Gardevoir. Now, the fun one about this one was this card was also like a $45, $50 card for the longest time. Now, Gardevoir, there's a Gardevoir card to be pulled in the Mega Set, and Gardevoir is soon to jump right up. And sure enough, bam, this card now is going for $135. Celebrations is a really fun set to open, and though the pull rates are pretty good, getting some cards in the Classic Collection are pretty challenging, but the fact we were able to pull some of these cards in pristine condition is great. So this card goes for about 135 now, and I still think there's a little more wiggle room on this one too. Who knows? Celebrations keeps going up. The Imposter Professor Oak. So this was my idea to grade, and again, my relatives are saying, "Hey, you got to pristine this. Are you sure it's going to pristine?" I said, "Guys, I feel pretty comfortable on this one." And sure enough, it did pristine. Now I have seen before things started spiking up on celebrations, I did see a couple pristine imposters going for over $200. So I said to myself, okay, there's some PSA 10s going for about 50, 60. Now, if you can tell here on the back here, the pop for a CGC pristine 10 is 43. And PSA 10s, you're seeing, dime a dozen of these, go for 40, 50. So I said, okay, well, let's value this at $50. And sure enough, we hit it. And we're still sitting good here. So another thing to add to the bank. So next, these are always fun to look at now. My cousin who just keeps absolutely ripping celebrations. Every time he pulls one of these, it raises more excitement, even more than pulling an Umbreon or Charizard. But this card has some serious history, guys. So at the time we were opening this up, a CGC Gem Mint 10 was going for about $100. This card today, 2 months later, in 2 months, this card now in a CGC Gem Mint 10 is going for $450. That is an incredible jump. That is more than 4 times the growth right there. And I was lucky enough to have a pristine copy of one of these, and I did grade it, but the pristines are going through the roof. But this is an iconic card. I see it still growing more. It's a very easy card to pull. This is not a difficult card to get, but to get one in a fantastic condition is extremely challenging. And I guess the fun thing about opening up celebrations is, even if you get a mispack and you grab this card, you still got a chance for value. So this is a fantastic and fun card to grade, even though they don't grade well. The pristine 10 Umbreon. Now, I did not know how this one would end up. I can't remember exactly why, but fortunately, things ended up in our court that we needed to. So, again, another story about this card was 2 months ago, this card was worth $180. Now, this card goes for $450 to $475. That is a crazy jump in 2 months again. I mean, just like that Pikachu, that's so much of a jump here. And I still believe that this card, because there's like big gold star hype, I still think this card has got a lot of room to grow. And if you ask for my personal opinion, the 30th anniversary is right around the corner, but I feel pretty confident we are not going to see a tribute set to old cards. I think we're going to see more of that modern, hip kind of like, hey, this is Pokemon. I really think the 25th anniversary was a big milestone set, celebrations, right? 25, celebrating 25 years of Pokemon. I think the 30th will be more modern take, more look on it. So I think there's a lot of room to grow on this card. Now, we did pull the Zard, and it did grade a 9.5. Now, at the time, 9.5s were going for about 100, 110. This card has since grown to 150. I did get into, I don't want to say argument, but like disagreements with one of my cousins. Actually, two of them. One said, stop manifesting negativity, and the other one said, it's going to 10. Now, I am not manifesting negativity, but when I know a card is off centered or just enough to give that 9.5, I will say it and stick with it and put my foot down on it. And sure enough, this card did 9.5. Now, out of all the cards you're okay getting a 9.5 on, I would say it's the Zard. The Zard holds its money well. Still a fun card to pull. Iconic. It's definitely one of the cards you want to see when you pull out of celebrations, but 9.5 still a beautiful card. Everything on the back was perfect. Just enough on the front centering to really push that 9.5. Now let's get to the exciting part, the gold cards. So again, I've been to multiple conventions in the past years ago where you just saw these cards in buckets of ETBs, $3 cards. And I remember going through them just going, wow, I can't believe, just the value on these things have just dropped. I understand they're hard to grade, but there's been the past history about even grading card companies having to stop grading these because there was issues. Cards were doing damage in the slab, and grading card companies had to come up with a new solution for metal cards. So they did, and that's all solved now. But these just grade, and they do not grade well. I don't know how I feel about metal cards. Almost in my opinion, I know they're valuable and everything, but it's is it really even a Pokemon card? Like, let's kind of think about that for a second. I'm not trying to downplay the gold cards. They're valuable. I don't think we'll ever see many and metal cards are definitely a special thing, but is it really even a card? It's kind of like a metal, like almost like magnet. But anyways, they're valuable, they're awesome, they're cool. So I remember this one specifically on the back. There was kind of like it almost looked like an ink, like a wet ink scuff that like grabbed like some type of like material to it. And I told my cousins, I said, guys, let's just hope we get an 8.5 here or even a 9. I said 9 would be best possible. Yeah. And sure enough, we got the 9, secured the 9. I said, consider that a win, guys. Call it a day. Trust me, that's what you want in this worst case scenario. Now, not to downplay the metal cards so much, but this is the most exciting part. The gold Charizard. Out of all these gold metal Charizards I've held in my hand that have been ungraded, I've held a decent amount of graded copies to get a feel for it, that feel that, just to it. I'm still no master of gold cards, but that gold card Charizard, when I took a good look at it from head to toe multiple times, I said to myself, out of all the celebrations we could have opened, this is the best Charizard we want to go in with that you could possibly hope for the best with. Now, I was thinking worst case scenario 9-5. If it could pristine, even better. But we secured the Gen Min 10. Now, this card has a great story to it as well. In July 21st, 2025, this card was worth about $900 to $1,000. You saw a couple sales right under $1,100. So at the time when me and my 3 other cousins were going into this, the value on all these cards was like, hey, like, let's see what can happen. We were going for the pristine. It was like a pristine. If we pristine, we're going to make out. It's going to do so well. And I said to myself, I said, guys, I said, if a Gen Min's 10, we at least make $200 each, $250. It's all going to be well done. But now, 2 months later, this card is going for $1,800. That is almost doubling its value in 2 months. And I think there's a lot more room on these gold cards to go. I predict, even 2 months ago, that those gold pristine Charizards were selling for about $4,000. You're going to start seeing sales around that $7,000, $8,000 mark very soon. Very soon. I feel very confident saying that. This box hasn't even hit $1,000 yet. We're at that $900 mark. We're still far enough away from the end of the year. We're going to see this thing hit $1,000 in no time. So, why did I post this video? So, let's show the next screen here. What did we make? So, let's jump here. So, right here. So, right here is everything broken down. So, you got your Groudon, Gardevoir, Imposter Professor Oak, Umbreon, Charizard, Pikachu, Goldzard, Gold Pikachu. Right here, we grossed $3,190. With the grading fees, it was $89.60. And then with the resale fees, you're looking at $430.65. That brings us with a net profit of $2,000, $669.75. The box cost us $500. So it leaves us with a $2,169.75. Divided by 4 members, we each take home $542.44. That is 400% return on your money in 2 months. That is an absolutely incredible result. You can't ask for anything better. Go figure, you will sell some of these on your own. You might make a little bit more. You might, tweak the prices a little bit. But we're each going to take home about $500, and that's after our cost in on the box. Again, 400% return on your money. That is an absolutely incredible return. Incredible. So look, one thing, my take on this whole video is this. Let's jump back here. My take on the video is this. When it comes to ripping product, guys, right now is not the time to rip. If you're going to rip, okay, well, I don't want to say now's not the time to rip, but it's simply this. These new sets coming out, Journey Together, Mega Set, Phantasmal Flame, Descent Rivals. These are sets that are so fresh and new that these cards that are coming out, you're nearly paying top dollar for these prices. The sets are going to see a decline. Then you go after them. If I were you, you need to start focusing on these sets I call last call before it gets way out of touch in prices. Celebrations at the time was that this box specifically was a last call in my eyes. Now, there's other celebrations you can still pick up for the right price in order to get yourself hands on it. But there's other sets from the Sword and Shield era that are still more affordable than some of these Scarlet and Violet sets. I know a lot of you guys want to get into the new stuff, but there's definitely some better money to be made out there in other directions of Pokemon cards than where everyone else is. That's what I like to do. Go after things that not many people are going after. And that's my take on everything. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Pole Father. I would consider this a major success. As always, it only takes one. We're back.